The night is quiet, and a story awaits. Before we begin, please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, so the night always finds you. The village of Yulin nestles in a valley, where mist clings to the hills like a lover's whisper. You arrive. At dusk, your cart rattling along the dirt path, the air heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. You're a wanderer, a seeker of rare herbs, drawn here by rumors of a flower that blooms only under a blood moon. The villagers, though, watch you with wary eyes, their faces half hidden in the fading light. They speak in hushed tones of An, old temple on the hill. Its altar said to hold a talisman of jade, etched with symbols no one dares to read aloud. You find lodging at the only inn, a creaking wooden structure with lanterns swaying in the evening breeze. The innkeeper, an old woman named May, hands you a key and warns you to stay indoors after dark. Her eyes linger on you, sharp and knowing, as if she sees something you don't. You nod, but curiosity burns in your chest. You've heard the tales. The talisman grants wishes, but at a cost. Some say it's cursed, others that it's guarded by spirits. You dismiss the thought as you climb the narrow stairs to your room, the floorboards groaning under your weight. That night you lie on a thin mattress, the window open to let in the cool air. The village is silent, save for the distant howl of a dog. You drift toward sleep, but a sound pulls you back, a faint chime like a bell struck far away. You sit up, heart quickening. The sound comes again, sharper now, from the direction of the hill. You tell yourself it's nothing, just the wind or a loose tile on the temple's roof. But the chime grows insistent, almost calling you. You pull on your cloak, light a lantern, and slip out into the night. The path to the temple is steep, lined with gnarled trees that twist like frozen dancers. Your lantern casts shadows that flicker and dance, making the woods feel alive. You pause, wondering if you should turn back. The village is a cluster of dim lights below, safe and warm. But the chime rings again, pulling you forward like a thread tied to your soul. You reach the temple, its stone walls crumbling under ivy, the air thick with the scent of moss and something sweeter. Like jasmine dot inside, the temple is dark, the only light coming from your lantern and a faint glow at the far end. You step carefully, your boots echoing on the stone floor. The altar stands before you, a slab of black granite carved with swirling patterns. On it lies the talisman, a jade disc no larger than your palm, glowing faintly green. You reach out, your fingers hovering over it. The air feels heavy, as if the temple itself is holding its breath. You hesitate, remembering May's warning, but the talisman seems to hum, urging you to touch it. Before you can decide, a shadow moves in the corner of your eye. You spin around, lantern raised, but the temple is empty. Your heart pounds, and you tell yourself it was a trick of the light. Yet the air grows colder, and a whisper brushes your ear, too faint to make out words. You turn back to the talisman, its glow now pulsing like a heartbeat. You feel it. This is no ordinary object. It's alive in some way, tied to the temple, the village, maybe even you. You step back, unsure. The chime sounds again, louder, and the ground trembles faintly. You stumble, catching yourself on the altar's edge. The talisman shifts, sliding toward the floor, and you lunge to catch it. Your fingers close around the jade, cool and smooth, and a jolt runs through you. like lightning but softer, warmer. You gasp, clutching the talisman, and the temple falls silent. The glow fades, and the air feels normal again. You slip the talisman into your pocket, your mind racing. What have you done? You hurry back to the inn, the night pressing close around you. The village is still asleep, unaware of what you've taken. You lock your door, place the talisman under your pillow, and try to sleep, but questions swirl in your mind. Why did the talisman call to you? What was that shadow? And why do you feel deep in your bones that someone or something is watching you now? You drift into uneasy dreams, the jade's glow lingering behind your eyes, promising answers and dangers yet to come. You wake to the sound of roosters crowing, the morning light filtering through the inn's thin curtains. Your hand instinctively reaches under the pillow, fingers brushing the cool jade of the talisman. It's still there, solid and real, not a dream. You pull it out, studying its intricate carvings in the daylight, swirling clouds, a dragon's claw, and symbols that seem to shift when you tilt it. You feel a strange pull, like the talisman is whispering to you, urging you to keep it close. You tuck it into a pouch at your waist, telling yourself you'll return it to the temple later. But deep down, you're not sure you want to let it go. Downstairs, the inn is bustling, with villagers grabbing breakfast. May, the innkeeper, watches you from behind the counter, her eyes narrowing as you sit at a wooden table. You ordered tea and steamed buns, trying to act normal, but you can't shake the feeling that she knows something. The tea is bitter, the buns tasteless, as your mind replays last night's events. The chime, the shadow, the jolt when you touched the talisman. You glance around, noticing the villagers' quick glances in your direction. Do they know you took it? Or is it just your guilt making you paranoid? A young man slides into the seat across from you, uninvited. He's lean, with sharp eyes and a crooked smile, his hair tied back in a messy knot. "You're the herb hunter, right?" he says, his voice low and playful. He introduces himself as Liang, a local who trades in rare goods. You nod cautiously, unsure of his intentions. He leans closer, his smile fading. "You were at the temple last night, weren't you?" Your heart skips, but you keep your face blank, sipping your tea. Liang chuckles, as if he's caught you in a game. "Don't worry, I won't tell. But you should know that place isn't safe for outsiders." You ask what he means, trying to sound casual. Ling leans back, twirling a chopstick between his fingers. He tells you the temple's history, his voice soft and rhythmic, like he's reciting a bedtime story. Decades ago, a priestess named Lianhua guarded the talisman. She was beautiful, revered, but her heart belonged to a man from a rival village. Their love was forbidden, and when they tried to flee with the talisman, the villagers caught them. Lianhua was sealed inside the temple, and her lover vanished. Some say she's still there, bound to the talisman, her spirit restless and vengeful. You laugh nervously, saying you don't believe in ghosts, but Liang's eyes darken. Believe what you want, but that talisman doesn't belong to you. You feel the pouch at your waist grow heavy, as if the jade is listening. You change the subject, asking Liang about the blood moon flower. He shrugs, saying it's just a legend, but his eyes flicker to your pouch, and you wonder if he knows more than he's letting on. Before you can press him, May calls him over, and he leaves with a wink, telling you to stay away from the temple. You finish your meal, your mind buzzing. Liang's story feels like a warning, but the talisman's pull is stronger now, like a heartbeat against your skin. You decide to explore the village, hoping to clear your head. The streets are narrow, lined with stalls selling herbs, pottery, and charms. You notice symbols like those on the talisman carved into door frames, faded and worn. The villagers are polite but distant, their smiles tight. You stop at a stall run by an old man with a white beard, his hands trembling as he sorts dried roots. You ask about the temple, keeping your tone light. He freezes, then mutters about bad luck and waves you away. You move on, but the unease grows. It's as if the village is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen by afternoon. You find yourself at the edge of the village, staring up at the hill where the temple looms. You tell yourself you're just curious, that you'll return the talisman tomorrow. But as you turn back, a gust of wind carries a faint chime, the same one from last night. You freeze, your hand on the pouch. The sound isn't coming from the temple this time. It's closer, almost behind you. You spin around, but the street is empty. Your pulse races, and you hurry back to the inn, the talisman's weight a constant reminder of your choice. That night, you lie awake, the talisman hidden under your pillow again. You try to sleep, but the air feels thick, charged with something you can't name. You hear it again, the chime soft and insistent, like a voice calling your name. You sit up, heart pounding, and check the window. Nothing but darkness. You tell yourself it's your imagination, but as you close your eyes, you feel a presence faint and fleeting, like a hand brushing your cheek. You clutch the talisman, its warmth both comforting and unsettling. You're not alone in this room, and you know it's tied to what you've taken. Morning light spills into your room, but it does little to ease the knot in your stomach. You barely slept, the talisman's warmth under your pillow both a comfort and a weight. You check it again, its jade surface catching the light, the carved symbols seeming to writhe under your gaze. You tell yourself you'll return it today, end this strange pull it has over you. But as you dress and head downstairs, the pouch at your waist feels like an anchor, tethering you to something you don't yet understand. The inn is quieter today, the breakfast crowd thin. May is nowhere to be seen, replaced by a young girl who serves you rice porridge with a shy smile. You eat quickly, eager to escape the villagers' curious stares. Outside, the air is crisp, the mist still clinging to the hills. You decide to seek answers, not at the temple, but from someone who might know more. Liang's words linger in your mind, his story about Lianhua, the priestess, and her forbidden love. You need to know if it's true and what it means for the talisman you now carry. You wander the village, asking discreetly about Lianhua. Most villagers brush you off, their faces closing like shutters. But at a small tea house you find an old woman named Chun, her hands gnarled from years of weaving. She's talkative, her eyes bright with stories, and after a cup of jasmine tea, she opens up. You sit across from her, the steam from your tea curling between you, and listen as she speaks in a low, rhythmic voice, as if sharing a secret meant only for you. Chun tells you Lianhua was more than a priestess. She was the village's heart, chosen to protect the talisman because her spirit was pure. But love changed her. The man she loved, Wei, came from a rival clan, and their secret meetings in the temple sparked whispers. When they tried to flee with the talisman, believing it would protect them, the villagers saw it as betrayal. Chun's voice drops, her eyes distant. They say Lianhua's last words cursed the talisman, binding her soul to it. Whoever takes it carries her pain. You feel a chill, your hand brushing the pouch. Chun leans closer, her gaze piercing. If you've seen the temple, be careful. Lianhua doesn't forgive thieves. You thank her, your mind racing, and leave the tea house. The story feels too vivid, too personal, as if Chun was warning you directly. You decide to confront Liang, hoping he'll clarify things. You find him at the market, haggling over a bundle of dried ginseng. When he sees you, his crooked smile returns, but it's tighter now, less playful. You pull him aside, away from the crowd, and ask about Lianhua. His expression shifts, a flicker of unease crossing his face. You're digging too deep, he says, glancing at your pouch. Some things are better left alone. You press him, your voice sharp, asking why he warned you about the temple. Liang sighs, running a hand through his hair. He tells you he's seen things, shadows moving in the temple, lights flickering without a source. He once tried to take the talisman himself years ago, but stopped when he heard a woman's voice weeping in the dark. It wasn't worth it, he says, his eyes locking onto yours. Whatever you're planning, don't. Return it before it's too late. You nod, but the talisman's pull is stronger now, like a current dragging you under. You leave Lian and head toward the hill, telling yourself you'll return the talisman now before things spiral further. The path feels different today, the trees less menacing in the daylight, but the air grows heavier as you near the temple. You step inside, the stone floor cool under your boots. The altar is bare, a stark reminder of what you've taken. You reach for the pouch, ready to place the talisman back, but your hand freezes. The air shifts and you hear it, a soft sob echoing from the walls. You turn, heart pounding, but the temple is empty. You call out, your voice trembling, asking who's there. The sob stops, replaced by a faint whisper, like silk brushing stone. It's a woman's voice speaking your name. You stumble back, clutching the talisman through the pouch. The whisper grows louder, not angry but pleading, as if asking for help. You want to run, but your feet feel rooted. The talisman grows warm, almost burning, and you pull it out, its glow pulsing in your hands. The whisper stops, and the temple is silent again, but you feel her Lianhua watching you, her presence heavy in the air. You shove the talisman back into the pouch and flee, your breath ragged. Outside, the village feels too normal, too calm, as if nothing happened. You return to the inn, locking yourself in your room. You sit on the bed, the talisman in your hands, and wonder what you've unleashed. Was it really Lianhua? And why does she know your name? The jade feels alive, its warmth spreading through your fingers, and you realize you can't let it go not. Yet, you need answers, and the talisman is the key, even if it means facing whatever spirit clings to it. You sit on the edge of your bed, the talisman heavy in your hands, its jade surface catching the dim light of your lantern. The whispers from the temple linger in your mind, Lianhua's voice echoing your name like a plea. You tell yourself it was a trick of the wind, a product of sleepless nights and village gossip, but the talisman's warmth pulses against your skin, undeniable and alive. You want to return it to end this unease, but something stops you, a curiosity, or perhaps a compulsion that makes you slip it back into the pouch at your waist. You need to understand what it wants from you. The inn is quiet as you head downstairs. The morning's still young. May is back, her sharp eyes tracking you as you grab a quick breakfast of congee and pickled vegetables. You avoid her gaze, feeling the weight of the talisman like a secret you can't hide. You decide to seek out more about Lianhua, hoping to unravel her story and why her spirit seems tied to you. The village feels different today, the air charged with an unspoken tension. You notice fewer people in the streets, and those you pass. Avoid your eyes, their steps hurried. You head to the village archives, a small building tucked behind a shrine. The archivist, an elderly man named Master Shen, greets you with a polite nod, his glasses perched on a thin nose. You ask about the temple and Lianhua, keeping your tone casual, as if you're just a curious traveler. Shen's face tightens, but he shuffles to a shelf, pulling out a dusty scroll. He unrolls it carefully, revealing faded ink and delicate calligraphy. You lean closer, the talisman's warmth growing as Shen begins to read aloud, his voice slow and deliberate, like a storyteller weaving a spell. The scroll tells of Lianhua's final days. She wasn't just a priestess. She was a seer, gifted with visions from the talisman. It was said to connect the living to the spirits, granting wishes but demanding loyalty. When Lianhua fell in love with Wei, she used the talisman to see their future, defying the elders' rules. The visions drove her to desperation, and she stole the talisman, believing it would protect their escape. But the villagers, fearing the spirit's wrath, trapped her in the temple, sealing the doors with charms. Wei was never seen again, and Lianhua's fate was left unwritten. Shen pauses, his eyes meeting yours. Some say she never left. Her spirit lingers bound to the jade. You feel a chill, the pouch at your waist suddenly heavy. You ask if the talisman is dangerous, and Shen hesitates, choosing his words carefully. It's not the jade itself, he says, but what it carries. Lianhua's heart was broken, and a broken heart can twist even the purest soul. He warns you to stay away from the temple, his voice firm but not unkind. You thank him, your mind spinning as you leave the archives. The scroll's story matches Chan's, but it feels incomplete, as if there's a piece of Lianhua's tale still hidden. You wander the village, the talisman's pull growing stronger. You pass a small shrine, its incense smoke curling into the air, and notice a carving of a dragon's claw, identical to the one on the talisman. You reach to touch it, but a hand grabs your arm. It's Lian, his face pale, his usual smirk gone. You're still carrying it, aren't you? He hisses, glancing around to ensure no one's watching. You pull away, asking why he cares. He steps closer, his voice low. I saw you leave the temple last night, and I heard her. She's awake now because of you. You demand to know what? He means your heart racing. Lin tells you he's been watching the temple since his own encounter years ago. He's seen lights flicker, heard whispers, but never like this. Last night, the hill glowed faintly, and the village dogs howled. Until dawn, He thinks Lianhua's spirit is stirring, drawn out by the talisman's removal. "You've started something," he says, his eyes darting to your pouch. "If you keep it, she'll find you." You laugh it off, but your voice sounds hollow. Liang shakes his head and walks away, leaving you alone with the shrine and the talisman's steady pulse. You return to the inn, your thoughts a tangle of fear and fascination. You sit by the window, watching the hill where the temple stands, its silhouette dark against the setting sun. You pull out the talisman, its glow brighter now, almost alive. You trace its carvings, and for a moment you see something, a flash of a woman's face, her eyes filled with longing. You blink, and it's gone, but your hands tremble. You hear a faint chime, not from the hill, but from somewhere closer, maybe inside the inn. You stand, clutching the talisman, and check the hallway. It's empty, but the air feels thick, like someone standing just out of sight. You lock your door, heart pounding, and place the talisman on the table. You tell yourself you'll return it tomorrow, no matter what. But as you lie down, the chime sounds again, softer, sadder, like a lullaby. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind, you see her Lianhua standing at the altar, her hands reaching for the talisman. You drift into sleep, the jade's warmth lingering in your mind, pulling you deeper into its mystery. You wake with a start, the talisman's warmth still lingering in your hand, though you don't remember reaching for it. The room is dim, the morning light struggling through a veil of mist outside. You sit up, your heart uneasy, and check the pouch at your waist. The jade is there, its glow faint but steady, like a candle in a storm. Last night's vision of Lianhua reaching. Hands, her pleading eyes clings to you like damp cloth. You tell yourself it was a dream, that the chime you heard felt too real, too close. You need to act, to decide what to do with the talisman before it pulls you deeper. Downstairs, the inn is nearly empty, the usual hum of voices replaced by a heavy silence. May stands behind the counter, polishing a cup with slow, deliberate movements. Her eyes flick to you, and for a moment you think she's going to say something about the talisman. Instead, she offers you tea, her voice clipped. You decline and step outside, the village shrouded in fog, the hill barely visible. You feel the talisman's weight, its pulse syncing with your own, and you wonder if returning it will be enough to quiet the whispers in your mind. You decide to seek out Liang again, hoping he can help you make sense of this. You find him at the edge of the village, near his stream where he's washing a bundle of herbs. He looks up, his crooked smile absent, replaced by a wary frown. You tell him about the whispers, the chime, the vision of Lianhua, keeping your voice low so no one else hears. Liang listens, his hands still in the water, and when you finish, he shakes his head. "You've gone too far," he says, his tone sharp but not unkind. "The talisman's bound to you now. It's not just about returning it anymore." You ask what he means, frustration creeping into your voice. Liang stands, wiping his hands on his tunic, and gestures toward the hill. He tells you about a ritual, one the village elders used to perform to appease the temple's spirits. It involves placing the talisman back on the altar under specific conditions: a night with no moon, an offering of white lotuses, and words spoken in the old tongue. He doesn't know the words, but he thinks Master Shen might. If you don't do it right, he warns, the Lianhua's spirit won't rest. and she'll come for you. You feel a chill, the pouch at your waist suddenly heavy, but you nod. Determined to end this, you head back to the archives, the fog thickening as you walk. Master Shen is there, hunched over a table, copying a scroll. You ask about the ritual, choosing your words carefully to avoid mentioning the talisman directly. Shen's eyes narrow, but he doesn't question you. He confirms Liang's story, describing the ritual in detail. The lotuses must be freshly picked, the altar cleansed with spring water, and the words chanted at midnight. He hesitates, then adds, the ritual binds the talisman to the temple again, but it requires a pure intention. If your heart wavers, it won't work. You thank him, your mind racing, and leave with a sense of purpose and dread. You spend the afternoon preparing. You find white lotuses by the stream, their petals soft and fragrant, and fill a small jug with spring water from a nearby well. The village feels emptier now, the fog muffling sounds, making every step feel like a trespass. You return to the inn to rest, but as evening falls, you notice something strange. The talisman, still in its pouch, is warmer, almost hot, and when you take it out, its glow is brighter, the carving shimmering like liquid. You hear the chime again, faint but clear, coming from inside the inn. You check the hallway, your lantern, casting long shadows, but it's empty. Yet the air feels heavy, like someone's watching. You sit at your table, the talisman in your hands, and try to focus. You think of Lianhua, her story, her pain. Was she trying to help you in the vision, or warn you? You trace the dragon's claw on the jade, and another flash comes. Lianhua at the altar, her hands bleeding as she clutches the talisman, her voice whispering, "Find him." You blink, the image gone, but your heart races. Find who? Wei? Is he still alive, or is this another trick of the talisman? You tuck it away, your resolve hardening. You'll do the ritual tonight, no matter what dot as midnight approaches. You gather your supplies and head to the temple, the fog parting like a curtain. The hill is silent, the trees looming like sentinels. You step inside, the altar stark and waiting. You place the lotuses around it, sprinkle the spring water, and set the talisman in the center. The air grows cold, the chime sounding louder now, echoing in your bones. You begin the chant, stumbling over the old words Shen taught you, your voice shaky but determined. The talisman glows brighter, and you feel her Lianhua closer than ever, her presence wrapping around you like mist. You finish the chant, your heart pounding, and wait. The glow fades, but the air doesn't lift. Something's wrong. You've missed something, and Lianhua's spirit is still here, waiting. The temple is silent, but the air feels alive, pressing against you like a held breath. You stand before the altar, the talisman glowing faintly where you placed it, surrounded by white lotuses that seem to wilt in the cold. Your chant echoes in your mind, the old words clumsy on your tongue, and you know something went wrong. The ritual should have worked. Shen's instructions were clear, but Lianhua's presence lingers, heavier now, as if disappointed. You feel her watching, her unseen eyes boring into you, and the talisman's pulse syncs with your racing heart. You want to grab it and run, but your feet stay rooted, caught in the moment's weight. You take a deep breath, the scent of lotuses and damp stone grounding you. You need to figure out what you missed. You replay Shen's words, the lotuses, the spring water, the chant of pure intention. That last part gnaws at you. Was your heart wavering? You wanted to free yourself from the talisman's pull, but part of you admit it craves its power, its mystery. You shake your head, trying to clear the thought, and decide to try again. You rearrange the lotuses, sprinkle more water, and start the chant, slower this time, focusing on each syllable. The talisman's glow brightens, but before you finish, a gust of wind sweeps through the temple, snuffing out your lantern. You freeze, the darkness swallowing you. The chime sounds again, sharp and close, like a bell struck beside your ear. You fumble for your flint, relighting the lantern with trembling hands. The flame sputters, casting wild shadows on the walls, and you see it a figure in the corner, faint and translucent, like moonlight on water. It's a woman, her long hair flowing, her face hidden. You call out, your voice barely a whisper, asking if she's Lianhua. The figure doesn't move, but the air grows colder, and you hear her voice again, soft and pleading. Find him. Your skin prickles, and you clutch the altar's edge, the talisman's warmth, the only comfort in the dark. You ask who she means, your words shaking, but the figure fades, leaving only the echo of her voice. You're alone again, but the talisman's glow pulses stronger, as if urging you to act. You realize the ritual isn't enough, not without understanding Lianhua's plea. Find him must mean Wei, her lost lover. But how? He vanished decades ago, maybe dead, maybe gone forever. You pick up the talisman, its heat almost burning, and slip it back into your pouch. You need help, someone who knows more than Shen or Liang. You leave the temple, the night pressing close, the chime fading into the wind. Back at the inn, you find Mei awake, sitting by a dying fire in the common room. Her eyes lock onto you, sharp and unyielding, as if she knows where you've been. You hesitate, then sit across from her, the talisman hidden but heavy at your waist. You ask about Wei, keeping your voice low, saying you heard he was Lianhua's lover. Mei's hands still, her expression unreadable. After a long pause, she speaks, her voice slow and deliberate, like she's choosing each word with care. She tells you Wei wasn't just a lover. He was a scholar, obsessed with the talisman's power. He convinced Lianhua to take it, promising they'd start a new life. But when the villagers caught them, Wei fled, leaving Lianhua to face their wrath. Alone, you ask if Wei's still alive, and Mei's eyes darken. She says no one knows. Some say he died in the mountains. Others believe he's hiding, waiting for the talisman to resurface. She leans closer, her voice a whisper. If you're asking about him, you've got the jade. Be careful, wanderer. It's not just Lianhua's spirit you're dealing with. You nod, your throat tight, and retreat to your room, Mei's words echoing. Wei might be alive, and the talisman might be the key to finding him, or the bait to draw him out. You lie on your bed, the talisman under your pillow again, its warmth spreading through you. You close your eyes, and the vision comes unbidden. Lianhua at the altar, her hands outstretched, but this time a man stands beside her, his face blurred but familiar, like someone you've seen in the village. You wake with a gasp, the image burned into your mind. Was it Wei? You think of Liang's sharp eyes, Mei's knowing gaze, even Shen's guarded words. Could one of them be connected to Wei, hiding in plain sight? The talisman's glow feels like a challenge now, daring you to uncover the truth. You decide you can't stay still. Tomorrow you'll search for clues about Wei, starting with the village's edges where old paths lead to the mountains. You need to know if he's alive and why Lianhua's spirit is so desperate for you. To find him, as you drift towards sleep, the chime sounds again, faint and mournful, like a lullaby from another world. You clutch the talisman, its warmth both a promise and a warning, pulling you deeper into a story that's no longer just a legend. The dawn is gray, the village shrouded in a mist that clings to your skin as you step outside. You clutch the pouch. At your waist, the talisman's warmth a steady pulse against the morning chill. Last night's vision of Lianhua and the blurred figure haunts you, the man's face teasingly familiar, like a shadow you can't quite place. You're certain it's Wei or someone tied to him, and you need to find him to quiet Lianhua's restless spirit. The talisman feels heavier today, as if it knows you're close to unraveling its secrets. You set out for the village's outskirts, where old paths wind into the mountains, hoping to find traces of Wei's fate. The streets are quiet, the villagers still indoors, and you're grateful for the solitude. You pass the shrine with its dragon claw carving, its similarity to the talisman's markings making you pause. You trace it with your finger, and a faint chime ripples through the air, so soft you might have imagined it. Your heart quickens, but you keep moving, the path leading you past fields and into a forest where the trees grow dense and twisted. The talisman hums in its pouch, and you wonder if it's guiding you or warning you. The air feels charged, like the moment before a storm, and you sense Lianhua's presence, faint but ever present, watching your every step. You follow a narrow trail, barely visible under moss and fallen leaves, until you reach a clearing. There, half hidden by vines, stands a small stone marker, weathered and cracked. You kneel, brushing away dirt, and find faded characters etched into it. Wei, beloved, lost to the stars. Your breath catches. Is this a memorial? Did Wei die here, or is it a decoy to throw off pursuers? The talisman grows warmer, almost hot, and you hear the chime again, clearer now, coming from deeper in the forest. You stand, your resolve hardening, and follow the sound, the path growing steeper as it climbs into the mountains. The trail leads to a cave, its entrance framed by jagged rocks and draped with ivy. You hesitate, your lantern casting a weak glow into the darkness. The chime echoes from within, soft but insistent, like a heartbeat. You step inside, the air cool and damp, the walls slick with moisture. Your footsteps echo, and you feel her Lianhua closer now, her presence wrapping around you like mist. You call out, asking what she wants, but only the chime answers, guiding you deeper. The cave narrows, and you find a small chamber, its walls carved with the same swirling symbols as the talisman. In the center, on a crude stone pedestal, lies a single white lotus, fresh as if placed moments ago. You approach, your heart pounding, and notice a bundle of cloth beside the lotus. You unfold it carefully, revealing a small journal, its pages brittle but intact. The handwriting is elegant, hurried, and you recognize it as Wei's from the fragments of his story you've heard. You read by lantern light, your hands trembling. The journal speaks of his love for Lianhua, their plan to flee, and his guilt for leaving her behind when the villagers came. He writes of hiding in this cave, waiting for a chance to return for her, but fear kept him away. The last entry is incomplete, ending with "The talisman calls. She's still with me." You feel a lump in your throat, realizing Wei might have been here, alone, haunted by the same jade you now carry. The talisman burns against your skin, and you hear her voice again, clearer now. Bring him back. You spin around, expecting to see Lianhua, but the chamber is empty. The lotus on the pedestal trembles, its petals falling one by one, and you know you're not alone. You tuck the journal into your cloak, your mind racing. Wei might still be alive, or his spirit might be tied to this place, like Lianhua's is to the temple. You need to find him, or what's left of him, to finish what they started. You leave the cave, the chime fading behind you, but the talisman's glow lights your way, a beacon in the dark. Back in the village, you seek out Lion, hoping he can help make sense of the journal. You find him at the market, his eyes widening. When you show him the book, he flips through it, his face pale, and mutters that he knew Wei's family, that they always believed he'd return. He looks at you, his voice low. "If you found this, you're closer than anyone's ever been, but be careful." The talisman doesn't let go easily. You ask if he'll help, but he shakes his head, stepping back. "This is your path now," he says, and walks away, leaving you with the journal and the talisman's unrelenting pull. You return to the inn, the weight of Wei's words heavy on you. You sit by the window, the talisman in your hands, its glow casting shadows that dance like ghosts. You see her again in your mind, Lianhua, reaching for Wei, her eyes filled with longing. You know you can't stop now. Tomorrow you'll go back to the temple with the journal and the talisman to face whatever waits. The chime sounds faintly, a lullaby that pulls you towards sleep, the jade's warmth promising answers, or perhaps something more. The night wraps around you like a heavy cloak as you climb the hill to the temple, the talisman pulsing in its pouch and Wei's journal tucked inside your cloak. The mist is thin tonight, the stars sharp above, and the air hums with a quiet expectancy. You've decided to face Lianhua, to bring her and Wei's story to an end, whatever that means. The chime echoes faintly, not from the temple, but from the talisman itself, its glow lighting your path like a lantern. You feel her presence stronger now, a gentle pressure guiding you forward. Her voice a whisper in your mind, "Bring him back." You step into the temple, the stone floor cool under your boots, the altar bare except for the shadows cast by your lantern. You place the journal on the altar, its pages fluttering as if touched by an unseen hand. You pull out the talisman, its jade warm and alive, and set it beside the journal, the glow illuminating the carvings on the altar. You speak softly, addressing Lianhua, your voice steady despite the knot in your chest. You tell her you found Wei's journal, that you know he loved her, that he never meant to abandon her. The air grows heavy, and you hear the chime again, soft and mournful, like a song from a forgotten time. You try the ritual again, arranging fresh lotuses you gathered at dawn, sprinkling spring water, and chanting the words Shen taught you. This time, you focus on Lianhua and Wei, picturing their love, their pain, their unfinished story. Your intention feels purer now, not driven by curiosity or fear, but by a desire to set them free. The talisman's glow brightens, filling the temple with a soft green light, and the air shifts, warm and alive. You finish the chant and the chime stops, replaced by a low hum. Like the earth itself is breathing, a figure appears before the altar, faint at first, then clearer. Lianhua, her long hair flowing, her eyes no longer pleading but calm. She's beautiful, her face etched with sorrow and hope, and you feel a pang in your chest. Beside her, another figure forms, less distinct but familiar way, his features matching the blurred face from your visions. They stand together, their hands almost touching, and you realize the talisman has brought them here, reuniting them in this moment. Lianhua's voice fills the temple, not a whisper now but clear and gentle. Thank you. You ask if they're free, your voice barely audible. Lianhua smiles, a small, sad curve of her lips, and nods. She tells you the talisman was her anchor, binding her to the temple, to her pain. By bringing Wei's journal, by speaking with a pure heart, you've loosened its hold. Wei's figure reaches for her, and their hands meet, the air shimmering around them. The talisman's glow begins to fade, and you feel a lightness, as if a weight has lifted from your shoulders. Lianhua looks at you, her eyes warm, and says, "Leave it here, let us rest." You step back, watching as their figures blur, fading into the glow of the talisman. The jade pulses once more, then dims, becoming just a stone, its carving still but no longer alive. The air settles, the temple silent, and you know they're gone, Lianhua and Wei, together at last, their story complete. You pick up the journal, leaving the talisman on the altar, and walk out into the night. The hill feels different now, the trees less oppressive, the stars brighter. You glance back at the temple, its silhouette peaceful against the sky, and feel a quiet relief. You return to the inn, the village asleep, unaware of what you've done. You pack your things, ready to leave Yulin at dawn, your search for the blood moon flower forgotten. The talisman's pull is gone, replaced by a sense of closure, as if you've set right something long broken. You lie down, the journal beside you, and close your eyes. For the first time since you arrived, you sleep deeply. No chimes or visions to disturb you. Only the soft rustle of the wind outside, like a final whisper of thanks. The next morning you pass through the village one last time. May nods at you from the inn's doorway, her eyes softer now, as if she knows the temple is at peace. Liang is at the market, and when you wave, he smiles, a real one this time, as if he senses the change too. You leave Yulin behind, the hill fading into the mist, the temple a memory. You carry Wei's journal, a reminder of the love and loss you helped mend, and you know you'll never return. Some stories once told belong to the night. That's tonight's tale. If it stayed with you, like, subscribe, and tap the bell. We'll meet again soon in the dark.